Part 1. Habits. They're not just for nuns anymore.
Well, why, Jefferson? No, they're not.
I heard that they help you fly, though. No, I'm kidding.
So, habits. Why do you do what you do, right? Are there things that you wish you could do more of, like exercising, eating healthy, spending more time with friends? Or are there things you wish you did less of, like impulse shopping or overworking or spending countless hours in front of a screen?
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you done? Because I thought you were just describing me. Yes, the answer is yes. So since we are always on the lookout for helpful things that we can share with you, our lovely audience, we came across two interesting articles online that piqued our interest. The first article is from NewYorker.com by Jerome Groopman called "Can Brain Science Help Us Break Bad Habits?" God, I hope so.
Me too.
The second article was "The Science of Making Positive Changes That Stick" on ThriveGlobal.com, written by Good Habits, Bad Habits author Wendy Wood.
Right. So basically, we all buy into the idea that we need to have willpower. And so we should just be able to decide we're going to do something. And then if we're good and we're strong, then we're going to be able to succeed. But that's kind of like a self-defeating thing, right? Because...
Well, yeah, it's a myth. Okay, so we all think that that's it. We see people that aren't achieving, right? And we think, oh, they just don't have enough willpower.
Right.
There's something wrong
Why aren't
with
they
them.
listening to like, just do it, or
Right.
just say no, or
And
things
so
like
these
that.
two articles are saying that is not where change comes, right? That's not
Right.
where
And
habits are changed.
Right. And something like 50%, according to Professor Wood, right, from the article, about 50% of what we do is simply a habit. It's something we do from a habit.
Exactly. We think, yes, the cognitive part of our, being present, thinking about, physically thinking hard about, I'm going to lift this up, or I'm going to ask for a raise, or I'm going to propose this Thursday, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Those parts of our lives, which we think are completely us, are only half the story, as you said.
And that's like executive decision making, right?
Executive
that's what
decision making,
describe
right?
It as. So our minds have multiple separate but interconnected mechanisms that guide behavior. And so we're all aware of this executive decision-making ability. And we kind of get our identity from that, but it's not necessarily really who we are or who we can be. So,
I just say one more thing too about the thing, just do it, the willpower, which is a myth. You end up feeling terrible about yourself.
Yes, you do. Because
why can't I do what they're doing?
Right,
why can't I achieve?
You can stick to that diet, like that perfect eating, maybe even for like a month. Like you got it, but like, can you make that part of your real life, of your real habits, of what you do? You have to tweak your environment, things like that. First thing they say, make bad habits inconvenient. So how do we do that?
Well, the whole thing was too, didn't the article say that good habits and bad habits both come from the same place?
Yes.
You create a routine, right?
And they're going to be created by your environment, good or bad.
Right. And so if you want to do something different, if you want to make a change, it's not like, okay, I got to willpower my way through. It's change the triggers, right?
And what about the marshmallow experiment?
Oh, right. So you may or may not know this famous experiment was done, I think, in the 60s, where they had, I don't know how I would do, I'm just thinking about this, but they would take children and put a marshmallow in front of them. And then they'd say, okay, if you can, we're just going to time you, and we want to see how much willpower you
If you don't eat that marshmallow for like 20 minutes or something, then we're going to give you 2 marshmallows.
Right.
They were saying things like that. You're going to be rewarded.
Then they realized, if I take the marshmallow, now the kids know the marshmallows exist, right?
Right.
But they take it and put it out of sight, so you can't see it.
Right.
All of a sudden, everyone did great.
Everyone did great. They just got distracted by something else. They did something else, and everything's fine. So changing your environment's so important.
Huge.
Taking out what might be giving you bad habits. Obviously, that's easy to talk about food. Don't keep the cookies in your cabinet. You're going to eat them. Right. But also, then they talked about friction.
I love this concept of friction.
The friction. So we can make bad habits more inconvenient, right?
That's right. And so this one, the guy who wrote the one story said he's addicted to his phone, right? This is his addiction. And he says he tried everything to try to not give into it. And then he realized, what I got to do is just get this out of sight, out of mind. So we turn it off.
And turning off creates the friction a lot.
Right, because then it's
then
like...
you have to turn it back on. Like, I want to check my email. Not so easy to do, because you got to turn it on first.
Because
my phone takes like 30 seconds to turn on. And they also use the college students, and they get out of the dorm. Don't be laying in your bed and doing homework or whatever. Get in the library where you're going to actually do work. Things like that, right?
Right, exactly.
So make bad habits hard. Make good habits easy. Take away the barriers, that keep you from doing the good things, or create reasons why you have to go do the good thing. Like, okay, you're going to make a date to work out with a friend or replace one bad habit with another. That's the other one, right?
So there is a cognitive element to starting a new habit.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, there is. But at some point, it just becomes ingrained in you. And now that's just what you do.
Right.
It's like second nature, right?
So they talk about the way you can replace one bad habit with a good habit is you have to identify what the trigger is creating that bad habit. So he talks about how in the afternoon he always wanted to go get the cookie, right?
That's right.
He'd go and get a cookie and eat a cookie, but he realized that the reason why he was going to maybe the room where everyone like at his work were socializing, he realized really what I wanted to do was interaction. I wanted to get up from my desk, have some interaction. So he, instead of going to the kitchen and getting another cookie at the work kitchen, he would go to his friend's desk instead. And so he started creating human connection so that he would visit friends instead of go visit the sugar.
No kidding. Yeah. So if you can just identify what's triggering the bad behavior, and then what is the ultimate want that you want to have, right? And go, okay, there's a different way to get there.
Right.
And then create a good habit around that.
Right. So she talked about also the stepwise strategy for, let's say, her cell phone. So she said, recognize your dependency on whatever that bad habit is.
Right.
Acknowledge how the habit disrupts your work, your social interactions. In this case, your safe driving. Control the context cues, meaning identify what triggers you to grab the phone.
Right.
For Jerome Groupman, who was in the other article, the cues were oral, like the ping, the French horn, and visual, the pop-ups and the screen.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there was the whole out of sight, out of mind thing, which is putting the phone on silent.
So hide the marshmallow, people.
Yeah. And so it wasn't enough to break the habits. Instead, he hid it in other rooms, whatever room he wasn't in, the glove compartment in the car, put it in zippered pockets, things like that.
So you're not even seeing it.
No, you're not seeing it. You're turning the phone off completely because then it's like more friction to turn it on and then get back and like,
even
I need to answer that one email.
Yeah, right.
Right. And then I have to, it's so true because I don't want to turn my cell phone off. Sometimes I'm like, oh no, because I just don't want to, I want to leave it on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And we recognize, you got to give yourself a little more friction.
Right. So there you go. I mean, these were pretty helpful hints.
I love it. I love it.
I'm going to apply these.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys found it very helpful as well.
Yes.
We're going to be trying it out. So we'll be checking in with you
We'll check back. We'll circle back on this one.
We'll see how we do.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed this clip. Be sure to watch the full episode by clicking the link in the description.
Right. And don't forget to like this video and then subscribe to our channel. Oh, and click on the bell icon so we can let you know when we post a new video.
Thanks guys. Take care.
See you next time.